Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Chaos-Reighn, and I'm here this league and next league. Now, I've been making all kinds of stuff happen in League and in Standard, but I'm not really, hardcore into either one of these things right now as far as any major goals in mind. So, a lot of it for me, I've just been just kind of sandbagging, doing maps, progressing, I guess, my bankroll in case I want to buy something really big. However, I will say that there's this league has been really fun for me in some aspects, but really dull in others. And I do see all of the negativity around this league and how people are basically, on GGG and Chris Wilson and everything like that, trying to be like, hey, this isn't good. This current status of your game is not favorable to us, and I have a few opinions about this. Just real quick, my first opinion is, I still enjoy the game. As I said, I play standard, and in leagues like this where there's just not a lot for me, I'll go to standard. However, I am in league pretty much every other day or daily. Um, but standard for me is just kind of like, well, I didn't enjoy the league, so I'm gonna go camp out here. Now, um, there's, I am of the opinion of, all the nerfs are just kind of in existence. I don't think they're necessary or bad. I, uh, I mainly just appreciate the nerfs for what they are. They're taking the time to kind of show that they care about the status of their game. However, it's hard for me to put into words how much I really dislike some of the things they've done. First and foremost, I will say the overall build nerf, taking into the account that there's a lot of people who just do not like the fact that there is, well, their builds aren't functioning, right? I think that that was probably looked over and or not cared about in developing the patch. And even when Chris said that we looked at it and we made a mistake, that's a little, in my opinion, that's one of those too little too late kind of scenarios. I think that if if he would have just maybe spoke to the community at a upfront point and been like, hey, we are planning to do X, Y, and Z, and instead of just basically throwing us all under the bus, saying good luck, hope you enjoy the league, and turning off basically most of the builds that were functioning. Well, unfortunately, that's the way it is. Like, and in specific, none of my builds were hit. I believe the only one that was hit was Hollow Palm, but I have been playing that specific Hollow Palm since Hollow Palm got released. And honestly, I understood why they nerfed Hollow Palm. It's pretty busted to be able to get a cluster jewel early enough on and then remake into a character that is able to basically melt all content like butter. On top of it, it was very viable for any skill. I used Ice Crash, I used Cyclone, I used every single unarmed skill, I believe. My favorite was the Conch Path. That was amazing. I love that one. That's why I kind of like the Flicker Strike. A friend of mine just was like, hey, you should play this build. It looks really fun. You have the budget to do it, so why not? And I'm like, alright, cool. So I built Flicker Strike, and that's why I kind of like Flicker Strike, because Conch Path reminds me, this reminds me a lot of that. And of course, anyone who plays League of Legends knows Master Yi. This is what it really feels like as Master Yi. Alpha striking and whatnot. Other than that, yeah, there's a whole list and slew of things of nerfs and builds that just do not function now. Thankfully, my ice shot wasn't touched, and there's a bunch of other builds that weren't touched. If anything, all the nerfs did was made ice shot stand out more as a powerful build. So I think that what's going to happen is ice shot's going to get a nerf next, because they're going to be like, oh hey, everything else is nerfed, let's nerf this. But we'll see what happens with GGG and all that stuff. I can't really say or speak for them. So I hope that they don't just outright nerf things, and instead they tune things like they should be doing, instead of just overall giving us a game that is really hard to beat and scary, more powerful monsters, and then turning around and reducing the overall amount of damage we do, and then the overall amount of tankability we have. I'll say that on this character is a couple mirrors invested into it by now, and it's very, very fun. However, its survivability is non-existent, and I have dodge cap. I actually have 25% physical damage reduction, 36% chance to evade, and as soon as I hit something, I believe it goes up or something like that. I forgot exactly how that works, but um, and for me, I feel like that they could have easily just gotten away with nerfing all the gems, and the game would have been at a pretty decent standpoint. But nerfing the gems, and then nerfing defenses, and then nerfing more defenses, and nerfing this build, that build, and the other, and just making everything, well, for lack of a better term, useless. They pretty much have just kind of signed away all of their, their want of character diversity. Case in point is, even though the gem was overtuned this league, a fair amount of people were playing Forbidden Right. I play on console, and there is a huge amount of people that play on console Forbidden Right. I believe like a good 65 or 75% started that, and then Cold SST, even more people played that as soon as that arrived. So, yeah, no, it is what it is. But other than that, there's not a lot to be said about it. There's that's just my opinion on things. I feel like hmm. Ah, there we go. Yep. This is another thing that I'll go over in a second. That happens sometimes where you just die and you don't know what to. But um, Cold SST and Forbidden Right were very, very popular, along with Bocock and other stuff. Bocock was less popular, but a few people were still playing it in League. Um, I feel like them nerfing all those gems made it so very, very few builds were able to perform on a level of expectation that most people would want it to perform on, and that's just the unfortunate truth of what's happening with this league currently. Is what it is, right? However, there's a lot to be said about um, the rest of this league and how it's turned out. There's hold on, I actually have to go find this essence. There it is. Boom, boom. Okay. However, there is something to be said about, hey, my shots, my ice shot was played pretty well. I started with Forbidden Right totems on a Deadeye because I wanted to try it on a Deadeye first. I always end up playing ice shot eventually, and I was like, all right, well, guess I'm doing Forbidden Right. And then I sold out Forbidden Right when it skyrocketed in price. So I actually got onto the Forbidden Right gravy train, or whatever you want to call it, the bandwagon, like well before a lot of my friends even knew about it. So when they got into it, by that point it was super populated. Everyone was doing it, and I was like, oh well, now it's time to bounce from this build. It's fun, it's overpowered, but oh well, it is what it is. Um, there I can't really say that people who conform to the meta, they're the problem, because at times I conform to the meta. As far as on that, I did Hollow Palm when Hollow Palm was super, super good, like way more broken than it was before the nerf. And I did, I believe a couple other builds. I never did Aura Stacker because I felt like that was just like playing a different game altogether. You're playing the game on easy mode, so having no challenge, what do you expect? Alright, so that being said, there's not a whole lot to cover other than that. The next thing I want to kind of go over a little bit is the whole invisible rendering thing that you just witnessed, where I basically killed an essence and didn't see the fireball. Now, one would say, hey, you should have looked at the mods on the thing. It says, the volatile right there. And my witty counter to that is, do you look at every mod on every creature when you're running around, especially on a build like Flicker Strike, where you can't even see where you're at, nevertheless where you're going? I don't think so. I think that this is a big problem and should be addressed first and foremost. I hope it is addressed, and I hope they do fix it. They did roll out a patch which seemed to have fixed things, but just as soon as they fixed things, it looked like things got bad again. So, yikes, buddy. But other than yeah. Let's go over some positives. How about that? So now, positives I want to go over for this league is that it was very fun. I really enjoyed the league mechanic, and I enjoyed the fact that it was a break away from the normal grind. Now, I am not saying that grinding for currency is the worst thing in the world, especially in a game that's built around grinding for currency to finish your build. But I will say that I've done it for several leagues back to back, and doing it for another league just felt like, you know, I'm on repeat, right? I'm doing the same thing over and over again. I'm doing the meta. I'm doing what gets me currency fastest. Well, unfortunately, just because it gets you currency fastest and the consistently and everything like that doesn't necessarily mean it is the best thing, right? It gets old, and it gets old quick. And when you're sitting on a bunch of exalts and a bunch of items and a bunch of GG things, and you're just like, well, I'm not even using any of this stuff. It's going to standard, or I'm not even I have all this currency and nothing to spend it on. Well, there's it gets to that point where you're like, why are you even playing the league at that point? So I decided to kind of take my time and enjoy the logbook aspect of this league. Now, I do interact with the league mechanic in every single map, and I will say that if I'm looking at a profit standpoint, I am not making insane amounts of currency. I can easily make insane amounts of currency doing what I've been doing, but it's not as fun as, just enjoying the game. You're having a little bit of fun here and there. You have a little bit of you have a little bit of things you're doing, all that good stuff. And um, you know, I have good stuff in League, and I have good stuff and better stuff in Standard. But at the end of the day, in Standard, right now I'm just farming for essences. Like that's what I'm doing. I enjoy it. I like crafting, so I'm trying to figure out a project on what to do. So we'll see what happens there. There is a couple of things that I maybe want to buy eventually, but right now I don't know what those things are. Maybe I just save up currency and stock up for a new build. Maybe I stock up for one really pretty item. At the end of the day, it all depends on what exactly you have and what exactly you want to do with your league. Now, there are obviously a couple of things that you can do to influence what you want, right? First and foremost, if you're playing the meta for currency, you're going to get bored real quick. You're not going to enjoy yourself, and there's going to be a lot of just mindless, brainless grinding. And this is not to say anyone who's doing this is just brainlessly grinding away, but when you see videos on YouTube like, I just double corrupted 32 watcher's eyes. I know that's not a good example. I'm just being sarcastic, but and you see videos like, how I made all of my currency to afford these 32 watcher's eyes, and all they're doing is saying what everyone else is saying, which is go to Clinic, Nemesis 3 currency, go and, in my case, hit your X button 200 times. On PC's case, you click 200,000 times. And I don't know, it seems overly tedious for no reason, and I hate this map. Why did I pick this map? Well, I guess I'm only here for the essence. I can skip the boss. Okay. So, it's like, why did you... When you're sitting there, you're getting a whole bunch of currency. Yeah, it's fun, it's cool, but when that's all you're doing, and then you're turning around and gambling it all away on, maybe that thrill of the double corrupt. Maybe you hit that GG, that GG double implicit, or you just burn through a whole bunch of currency. Either way, you're burning through a whole bunch of currency, and you're not playing the game. You're just, I have currency, I'm gonna spend it. I have currency, I'm gonna spend it. In my case, I'm the same way, so I can't really say, that's, I don't do that. No, I do that every league. But This league I decided to switch it up. I really did. Instead of going and getting thousands of exalts worth of stuff and then sitting there and double corrupting it all, I was like, you know what? I think a better use of my time would be to go do that for a little bit, get my build done, and then go enjoy some good old fashioned logbooks. And I still have a literal ton of logbooks. No, that's a Nemesis Fair. All right, Nemesis Beyond. I mean, free infused. Oh, I don't even need those. I can use white maps. Okay, yeah, this one will work. Free infused bloodlines. Free infused bloodlines. Perfect. All right. Cool. And I don't know. I'm just rambling and ranting at this point, but I do appreciate the fact that there are people who will tune into me rambling and tune into my opinions on the direction of this game. And yeah, if you guys do enjoy my content, I will say that sorry I haven't been actively posting as much as I used to. I've just been relatively uninspired, I guess you can say. Like, there's not a lot I want to do in League, and as such, I don't really plan to, oh hey, I have a video in mind for this thing. Oh hey, I'm gonna go and do this for this for this league or for standard or whatever. And at the end of the day, it all really depends on whether or not I'm enjoying what I'm doing, right? If I'm not enjoying, if I'm not enjoying playing or making videos at that time, then I'm just not going to do it. It's just the way I work. So if I am enjoying it, if I feel like, hey, I want to share this with the world, or hey, there's something I've been doing I want to share with the world, then I'll gladly do it. And as such, I I think I just needed to kind of rant a little bit about the status of what I feel like is going on in this league and everything like that. I still enjoyed this league, though the nerfs rolled out and hit a whole bunch of builds. I do feel for the people they hit. I still very much didn't feel it, and I appreciate that. But, I just think it's a matter of time before my favorite build gets hit. That's just the way it works. Alright, well, I did the boss anyway. Now, next thing I want to go over is my plans for the future, whether it be through the rest of this league, the last month of it, into next league. I will say the first things first. I have an opinion on what's going to happen as far as the Watchstones and the Atlas. Well, as you know, I love to play Standard, and I have a very massive collection of stuff in Standard. I don't know why I even altered that. And as such, I have all my Watchstones rolled. For example, I have essence, 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 essence. I have essences on prefix and suffix on all 4 of my Watchstones, and each and every single one of these is rolled to a decent tier, at least like tier 3 I think is lowest, but I think I like tier 2 tier 2 tier 2 tier 2 so on and so forth. And like this actually was a really cool accomplishment for me, so I was like, all right, well, we'll just keep this and we'll get as much essences as possible, and that'll be fun. um, when they decide to condense the map to 4 regions, they're now I have a very strong opinion on this. I feel like that there's going to be one of 2 things that happen, and we won't find out for another 1 or 2 weeks. The first thing that will happen is all of the Watchstones that you have will become obsolete. All of them. Meaning every league that you spent grinding out for, what is this, 4, 8, 12, 16, 32 Watchstones. Every single league you ground out 32 silver Watchstones, and then in some cases you had Cyrus Watchstones that you used. I guess the Cyrus ones will still be viable, but all of the specific region ones are going to become obsolete. Now, if that's the case and they have 4 new names for regions, then and we just have all these dead Watchstones, I'm going to pretty much be a little bit irritated. And I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe I'll just make a dump tab and as a memorial for all the Watchstones I spent all the currency rolling. And it is what it is. It's pretty well known that they don't really look to Standard for any kind of future thing. They don't care what people do or like how their builds perform in Standard. So when it comes to like, for example, like the aura stacker, they just hard nerfed that into the floor, so much so that even playing it in standard was pretty hard to do. Um, it's still possible, but it's very expensive. And things such as like hollow palm being nerfed to the floor, like, not only did they nerf it once by making it so split personalities were limited to two, but then they turned around and nerfed it a second time by taking away, actually second time in the same league for nerfing deep cuts. We don't have deep cuts anymore. I still have some legacy ones, but it just doesn't exist as far as a modifier in the game. So there's that. Um, they've also nerfed this league the overall attack speed of Hollow Palm, or of the Hollow Palm Jewel. And that's a pretty big nerf because it was already relatively decently strong as is, and then it just went from being decent to just garbage tier. And I feel like them doing that kind of sucks. Enhance currency, reforges item a certain way. Why not? But that's just, you're hearing my opinions on things. Whether or not they matter is up to you to decide. There is, there is something to be said though about, hey, look, bro, if you're gonna nerf something, can you think a little bit harder about the numbers? Nerfing Hollow Palm to a point to where it is now literally no more than a paperweight. Like in League, I think there were 20C for the jewel. In Standard, people are paying like an Exalt each, and there used to be like 10 plus X or 8 plus X or something in Standard. And obviously, I play both League and Standard, so that's just me. I know a little bit about what's going on that, and you just can't help but notice that over tunes or over nerfs or over buffs or the lack of paying attention by the developers of the games. Well, this is what happens, right? 5 link, hooray! Let's see. Oh, we have a reforged keeping and a white socket craft. More likely is just to get rid of that. I like to reforge keeping. Alright. Randomize Atlas influence, sacrifice divination card. Sure. Anyway, I do hope that the first option that I mentioned as far as the Atlas goes, doesn't happen. But the other option is they remove 4 regions and we have a rotating 4 regions every league, in which case we still have 4 regions of Watchstones that work in Standard, which would be great. I mean, I would love that. But as the past of things, entails, they've not really had the best track record of caring about what people think in Standard, and I have a feeling they're just going to roll out the nerfs to the nerf slash buff slash combination to the Atlas, and when that happens, anyone who spent all those hours rolling Watchstones is just going to be left in the dust without any kind of compensation of sorts. I'm not saying compensation necessarily, but like we're just gonna, without better term, be left with our dick in our hands, and I feel like that's not cool. But at the end of the day, I didn't make the game. It's not my place. I'm just voicing my opinion over the internet, right? So that covers all of the ranting and everything like that. And as far as opinions, whether they be good, bad, negative, whatever, is up for you to decide. Now, if you guys have any kind of inkling of interest in this kind of thing and want to discuss it, feel free to send me a message on PSN and or on my YouTube channel. I will try to be bringing you more posts, mostly about content. I do hope you enjoy me just sitting around ranting for a bit, but you just wanted to kind of tell you where I'm at with the game right now. I'm not really, sitting on any major big-time goals. I don't have a big-time purchase in League or Standard, so I'm just messing around. I don't have a grind goal, I guess you can say. I've pretty much accomplished most of what I cared for, so that being said, if you guys do have any kind of interest in well, just talking about it, I guess. Or even just you want to hang out, you want to chat, feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe. I'm always down to do whatever. Just be chill, cordial, and yeah, take it easy, everybody. Have a good one.